Some 40 years ago, the sport of drag racing got its start on the dry lakes of California, where men pushed the limits of performance in anything from stripped-down hot rods to streamlined lakesters. From these unpretentious beginnings emerged what would become the world's largest sanctioning body, the NHRA. Today, interest in drag racing has crossed borders and continents and is growing into an international affair. NHRA-style drag racing events and exhibitions have been presented in more than 20 foreign countries, including South Africa, Australia, Great Britain, and the Orient. Meaningful working relationships have been established all over the world. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this international edition of NHRA Today. I'm Steve Evans, and yes, I did say international. Drag racing may have been born in the United States and popularized here, but its fame and its popularity has spread around the globe. Now, we are based today in a tropical locale, but the hammer's down on drag strips all over the world. So grab your passport and let's see some of that action. The 1992 European Top Fuel season was full of peaks and valleys. The valleys were few, supplied mostly by Mother Nature as rain interfered with a couple of events. The peaks were many, including overflow crowds despite the weather, record-breaking performances, and bigger, more competitive fields.
In '91, we ran 5 rounds in 4 countries, and this year we've been able to extend it to 7 rounds in 5 countries, so that's real big growth. But the very exciting thing for the sake of European drag racing is we've expanded all the gates at those tracks by as much as 40 and 50%. And we've had at some tracks genuine gates of 40,000 people. So I'm absolutely delighted that Top Fuel's finding its correct status in European drag racing.
By the end of August, 11 Top Fuelers had seen action on tracks scattered across England, Finland, Germany, Norway, and Sweden. Even though 11 doesn't seem like a great number of competitors by American standards, it represents the largest collection of Top Fuel racers in the 30-year history of racing in Europe.
The level of enthusiasm here among the racers is extraordinary. When you consider that it costs roughly twice as much to race a Top Fuel car here in Europe as it does in the United States because of the cost of shipping the parts, duties, and the logistical costs of getting around throughout Europe. These people are obviously very dedicated with a minimum of sponsorship support. Now that the sport is getting the amount of publicity that it genuinely deserves, I think the future is going to be very bright indeed.
Throughout the '92 campaign, the Top Fuel battle boiled down to a Monica Öberg-Risto Puutiinen shootout. Öberg from Sweden and Finland's Puutiinen accounted for 5 wins on the 7-race schedule. Öberg came out of the gate with a win in the first Santa Pod race back in May. Now, unlike her peers, Monica races a car without any American heritage.
This is a Swedish-built car, and all our cars has been from Sweden, so it's not an American car. It's just as good as any American car, a little bit heavier.
Puutiinen, the Flying Finn, won the next 2 events in Finland and Sweden. But even in the midst of a tight points race, competitors across the Atlantic have to take a conservative approach due to the cost.
We try to keep it in the safe side and, run without breaking parts. There's no team in Europe who has like 5 motors on the trailer.
What European Top Fuelers lack in quantity, they pick up in quality. Germany's Rico Anthers debuted his ex-Larry Frazier dragster late in the season and turned the quickest run ever in Europe, a 5:11 at Santa Pod. The former holder of that record, Norway's Liv Burstad, was left on the outside looking in this season as she never made it to a final round due to the tougher competition. The European circuit even boasts a racer with the flexibility of Pat Austin. Peter Lance builds his own cars and races in both Top Alcohol and Top Fuel.
I like to be like Pat Austin here in Europe. That's what I'm trying to be. But I didn't do as well that he did anyway. But I didn't have that backup financial. But anyway, I did it. Both cars at the same meetings and everything. And it was a very nice experience.
As the 1992 calendar narrowed down, Öberg held a slim points lead going into the last race of the season. Puutiinen had to win the rain-delayed Hockenheim final during qualifying at Santa Pod to have a shot at the title. Risto did just that by defeating Rico Anthers in the near lane to register his 3rd win of the year. In order to deny Öberg the championship, Risto had to repeat the next day with a final round win. The Flying Finn appeared on his way with a first round win over Vibeke Averstedt in the near lane. Now, when Oldberg lost in the first round, the door was open for Risto, but Putienen had to get by Anthus, who had just run the quickest time ever. Risto in the near lane beat the German off the line, but Rico had too much power and overcame the reaction time difference at the finish line. And so Europe's most competitive Top Fuel Championship race was over, with Sweden's Monica Oldberg crowned series champion. The biggest Japanese impact on American drag racing has been in the pro stock motorcycle class. But if you journey to the land of the geisha girl and the sumo wrestler, you find that they are absolutely nuts over ground-pounding, tire-smoking American automobile drag racing. Here with a perspective is Dave McClellan's son.
Recently, 48 members of NHRA's Team USA ventured halfway around the world to participate in this year's USA-Japan Drag Racing Festival held at Fuji International Speedway. It was the USA versus Japan, with racers competing in two classes, top alcohol funny car and pro stock bike. After opening day ceremonies that included introductions of the drivers, national anthems, and other less formal activities, it was time to dazzle the Japanese fans with a rare exhibition run from Butch Blair's Fagawi Top Fuel Dragster and a crowd-pleasing thrill ride courtesy of Jim Nielsen's Jet Car Limo. As evidence of the growing interest in drag racing, multiple television crews covered the event, including live national coverage from Japan's NHK television. Though undefeated in last year's drag festival, the American drivers expected vast improvement from their fast-learning counterparts and knew they would be racing quality competition.
We're going to see some cars that are real tough, and we better have our act together to run with them or, in fact, even beat them.
In Pro Stock Bike, one Japanese racer, Yasushi Kamanaka, survived round one elimination for a semifinal matchup with Paul Gast. Though unsuccessful against the eventual two-wheel champion, Kamanaka exemplified the improvement made across the board in Japanese racing. In the final round, Gast earned the title in a close battle with Tim Loomis. In alcohol funny car competition, the Japanese team again distinguished itself when Takahiro Toshiro became the #1 qualifier with a 6:41, nearly 4/10 faster than any American competitor. In eliminations, however, Jet Field survived the super quick qualifier when Toshiro was disqualified for crossing the center line. After an All-American semifinal, it came down to Brett Williamson and Jim DePass. In the only round of eliminations that saw both cars running in the sixes, Jim won it all with a 677, bettering Williamson's losing 696. The award ceremony included a trophy presentation and a traditional champagne dousing of the winners and anyone else within range. To all involved, this victory and this event carried a very special meaning.
They love their drag racing over here in Japan. There's no question about that. It's a lifetime situation. I'd do it again and again and again. I recommend it to anybody that has the opportunity to do it. It's just been wonderful, perfect.
The best day I've ever had in my life and racing career. The boys got together and made the thing work. So I'm just the happiest person to be around right now. It's new to me, new experience, and I'm happy.
After a successful day of racing, Team USA got a chance to relax and explore the Gotemba Resort area, which features a beautiful lake created by the volcanic activity of Mount Fuji. Among the scenic beauty of the resort area were gift shops and restaurants featuring traditional Japanese food not necessarily braved by Team USA members. On the final day of racing, a day set aside for the Japanese Championship, American racers were slated to begin the difficult process of crating and packing equipment for return to the U.S. Instead, the American racers decided their time could best be spent by helping their Japanese racing friends prepare to run and by putting on an unscheduled exhibition race to offer thanks for the overwhelming hospitality of the Japanese. More than a racing event, the USA-Japan Drag Festival was a mission of goodwill, a forum for new understanding, and a chance to make new friends.
The American Auto Racing Writers and Broadcasters Association recently held their 23rd annual All-American Team Awards banquet in Burbank, California. Each year, association members select an all-American team of drivers representing all major forms of motorsports. In the drag racing category, this year's first team honorees were Winston champion Joe Amato and the 300-mile-per-hour man Kenny Bernstein. Named to the second team were Winston champs Cruz Pendragon and Warren Johnson, with Corey McClanathan receiving an honorable mention. Also, Blaine Johnson made the second team in the at-large category. Congratulations to Joe Amato and Kenny Bernstein for a great job in '92. Welcome back, everyone. I hope there's no jet lag from your Japanese trip, because now it's time to hit two different Caribbean islands. I'm a big reggae music fan, so I love it there because you can't go 10 minutes without hearing my favorite, Hot, 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 which might have been written about their drag racing scene, as Bob Fry found out.
Steve, I don't know if it's fair to use the word hot at this time of the year. After all, a lot of our fans are probably sitting at home with snow-covered grounds and 9-degree temperatures outside. Just thinking about that, I feel kind of bad about being on this assignment. Oh, not real bad. We're in beautiful Puerto Rico, home of Puerto Rico International Speedway. And like the unique settings behind me here in Old San Juan, we'll see some unique race cars as Puerto Rico International Speedway presents their season opener that they call Rotaries versus Pistons. They've been drag racing in the Puerto Rican city of Salinas since 1975. But it wasn't until Raymond Lopez took over the track 7 years ago that dramatic improvements occurred.
This is good for the sport. We had to get in together. We had to speak. We had to get like a friendship between the races and the owner for the track. And I'm especially proud to be a member of the National Race Association. This is so proud, as I feel, it helped me to put in so many hours in this track and to enjoy.
Of the 32 drag races held at the Puerto Rico International Speedway, 11 are national events. The others include specialty and bracket races. And across the board, all have experienced an increase in both spectators and participants.
We have a nice facility in Puerto Rico. We have the best racetrack in the whole Caribbean.
Fans and racers alike openly express their preference toward the rotary or piston engine.
I use a piston to beat the rotary engine. I run in 9 seconds. I'm the fastest car in Puerto Rico with Toyota engine with nitro outside system, of course.
The classes this weekend included Super Pro, Super Comp, Super Street, and Motorcycle. And the technology of the sport is advancing as fast as its popularity.
I feel that the way that Mr. Raymond Lopez bring many people from the state, we learn from them and we apply and I use it here. So we have been able to get more in touch with the way the technical advance over there.
And although the overall event winner was a piston-powered engine, everyone shares the same feeling that drag racing in Puerto Rico is moving in the right direction.
We really think that this is going to come out, and it's going to come out great and big for the Puerto Rican people. We got many feelings that it's going to be one of the biggest sports here in Puerto Rico for the next year.
Another Caribbean island where the NHRA's influence is being felt is that of Curacao. Located 35 miles north of the coast of Venezuela, it has become an important trading center for the transshipment of products across the globe. Its port, the 7th largest in the world, can easily accommodate both cruise and cargo ships. Curacao is set apart from the other Caribbean islands by a European flavor that reflects its Dutch heritage. The Holland of the Caribbean, complete with colorful waterfront shops and restaurants, is reminiscent of Amsterdam. The characteristics of the island may be European, but at the drag strip in Curacao, the look and sound is distinctly American.
We have Chryslers down here. We have General Motors. There's a lot of Volkswagen. Fords. We have some Fords down here also. Fords. We have all the U.S. makes cars down here.
Drag racing was introduced to Curacao nearly 20 years ago and has spread to nearby nations. And with the NHRA's involvement, these countries are taking a step toward competing on common ground.
If you look at it now, we have rules for Aruba, we have rules from Venezuela, we have rules from Puerto Rico, we have our own rules down here, and it never combines together. So what we're trying to do now is to get with the NHRA so we can build something that everybody has one rule so we can race together more decently down here.
And through cooperation and organization, the sport will continue to grow in the Caribbean.
Another place where drag racing is growing is south of the border. Senores y senoritas, the last stop on our international junket is Monterrey, Mexico. Besides being the industrial center of Mexico, Monterrey is steeped with religious and ethnic customs. And despite a rained-out Division IV International Challenge Series race at Autodromo Monterrey, American culture has taken root.
Their program was a long ways from ours, and in the last 3 to 4 years, they have brought their program almost into line with NHRA's rule book, their classes, and everything else.
Since NHRA's involvement, the number of Mexican participants has quadrupled. And as in the U.S., the Foundation for the Growth of Drag Racing in Mexico emphasizes the sportsmen and ET bracket racers.
We are trying to develop special categories for the Mexicans because the way that the economy is different. And well, that is helping us to increase the interest in this sport.
Another challenge facing promoters is building racetracks throughout the country. And plans are already underway for construction in Guadalajara.
We need to open in the next 4 or 5 years about 8 tracks to have a real championship.
Still, Mexican drag racing has already grabbed the attention of both the spectator and the media.
Mexico is like a stepping stone into a lot of other third world nations. Televisa, which is one of the television stations that broadcasts throughout the Spanish world, they're seeing this drag racing all over down here, and we're getting calls from Costa Rica and Venezuela.
But it's the racers themselves that put it into the best perspective.
I love it. I love flying, and I love flying in my car.
Me fascina.
I really just love it. Every time I come here, I feel like my blood, I'm about to explode, and I want to be inside the car and ready to go.
And with enthusiasm like that, the potential for growth is limitless. Just think of all the frequent flyer miles you got in this week's show. But you know, Irma Bombeck said in one of her books, it's time to go home when you start looking like your passport photo. So we're back at Drag City, somewhere USA, and we're all out of time.
NHRA Today is a presentation of Diamond P Sports.